Hi everyone, it's Silene here, and I thought I'd pop in and talk about empaths and exhaustion. And basically, what I'm talking about is anyone who's highly empathic or highly sensitive and who suffers from any sort of chronic fatigue or exhaustion or tends to feel depleted. Okay, so why is exhaustion so prominent in empaths? Particularly, it's also in sensitives, but it's very, very, very much more obvious in empaths. Well, if we look at the difference between a highly sensitive person and an empath tends to be a highly sensitive person with very strong empathic traits, okay, and they're really high. So if you looked at even Dr. Elaine Aron's tools, when someone's over a score of 15, they're classed as then really empathic. If it's 10 to 15, they're highly empathic, but an empath is someone over, a certain, I think it's 15 or 16. So they're on this really high scale of empathic abilities. And basically, when we talk about being an empath is someone who feels things. So they feel what other people are feeling. So they can feel energy. They can even feel often physical pain. They can feel really even subtle changes in energy. And often the biggest problem is they actually take on the energy themselves. So the easiest way to explain it, if we have an energy field and we have different layers, okay? And for an example, if you imagine when you go into a room, a lot of us feel this, that we, even if we don't regard ourselves as empathic or sensitive, we go into a room and you just know something's not right, okay? And that's an example of feeling energy and feeling change. And if you think about when someone's angry and you can feel the anger, okay, and then you can feel the joy when someone's happy. These are all examples of vibrational changes around us, or vibrational changes within us. Now, the thing about an empath, when their vibration changes, often empaths actually step down to the person that they're working with, okay, or that they're connecting with. So what happens in empath is very much about in a way, this is maybe not the right word, but the underdog. And what I mean is they tend to, where someone's in need or needs fixed, healed, cared for, they tend to want to support that. But often the problem is, when we're unbalanced, is that we move down to that person's energy level in a subtle way. So that's one thing that goes on. But also it's that many empaths have huge problems with boundaries, so that energy can be very porous. Their energy field can be very porous, and they're very open. So what happens? They're almost like as if it's a house. They've left all the doors and the windows open, and they're letting everybody in, and they're letting everybody come in with all their baggage and all their worries and all their chaos. Okay, so what happens? That is why empaths get so exhausted, because what happens is they're an open door to everything. It's like often their energy field, for whatever reason, is got these big holes in it. Okay, so what happens is some empaths and things, it's from childhood. It's sort of trauma, physical trauma. Even like when you come in, to the world, if someone has had a sense of birth or a trauma before their birth, these all things can affect. And then just different things that happen in our childhood can make us more porous and our aura's not as strong. And also, if we haven't learned conditioning that the boundaries are important, that can raise serious issues as well. I know myself, my mum had she had a slight mini operation before I was born, but which could have had an impact on me. And I know I had that, and then as a child, being the eldest of many siblings, I took very much a mini mum role, and I didn't really learn boundaries. It was always about catering for everybody else, and are not even being understanding that it's important to have boundaries. And even I had a huge difficulty most of my life saying no to people or standing up for myself. And these are all examples of where empaths, there is those, real problems with boundaries. So when you have no boundaries, you take on really distorted patterns of behaviour, and the fact that you're serving other people, you can't say no, so you tend to get yourself into all sorts of situations which are exhausting, demanding. And so other than the general awareness of stimulus around about you and having more, sensory processing, sort of sensitivity, you're actually taking a lot more mentally on. And that's why, empaths particularly tend to have these sort of fatigue disorders or suffer from things like chronic anxiety or chronic stress and, burnout type things. So it's very important, if you're highly sensitive, you're highly empathic, that you learn certain skills and you address the things that are, and if you are like an unruly empath, I know that's something that I'm still working on a little bit, is that your energy field is just that little bit more sensitive. So, and there's skills that you've maybe not learned or developed. So it's about you learning those skills and sort of getting the balance right. And because of that, I created the Empaths Toolkit. I had found that most of my life I was struggling with certain things, and even though I trained in many things, there were still things that just I couldn't get the missing jigsaws. And now, as I've really fully embraced and recognised that my empathic traits, I've started to recognise what sort of things were missing and why I wasn't getting grounded and why certain tools weren't working for me and why certain things kept coming up to be an issue. And what I've done is created the Empaths Toolkit in a way that it's a full module course, and you're doing things in a certain, suggest you do it in a specific order, because it's the certain order that can make a difference. There's certain tools, if we haven't got one skill sorted out, we're not able to fully move to the next level. And it's just thinking about a child. A child has to maybe crawl before they can walk or do other things in certain stages. And if they do try to do something and they've not got that foundation right, they keep falling, okay? Or they keep having problems. And that's the same thing for empaths. So the Empaths Toolkit is a great kit. You can learn more of that about at eileenburns.co.uk. But if you haven't yet done so, sign up for my free course, Essential Skills for Empaths, and that really talks about a lot of the skills that really are important for you to learn and to get right. And the Empaths Toolkit contains all the actual tools and skills and so much more that will turn you from maybe an exhausted empath, a fatigued, overwhelmed empath, or maybe even sort of a very disempowered empath, into someone who becomes more resilient, more strong, more balanced and grounded, and more aware of their own power and gifts. Okay, so have a beautiful day and bye for now.